God puts people in our path wherever you are, whether you're in Bangkok or whether you're home. And it's just how aware are you of it?
One of the questions people have asked me before is, what is the one thing you think you learned when you were living overseas that you brought back with you? And that was how many opportunities I missed when I lived here in the States. Over there, it was like I took every opportunity. The taxi driver, the whatever, if I could communicate with them, they were asking me why I was here because I'm an American. Are you here visiting? And I was able to share. Why didn't I take those opportunities here in the States? So that really did open my eyes to that. So moving back to the States and having our base here, this is also part of our mission field.
We worked a lot with college age kids, and we went and taught lectured at their college on business English days or whatever, and we'd always invite them over for an English fun night at our apartment. And sometimes we would have 25, 30 college kids on the floor in our apartment playing Uno, playing
sequence, spoons,
everything, and it was loud. I mean, it was so much fun. But it was really special that they started calling us uncle and aunt, which is a term that when they accept you and they trust you, they're comfortable with you, is a term they use. One night we were doing a Halloween party. They wanted to do it an American Halloween, so they dressed up and whatever. We told them to invite their friends, and we'll do a Bible story and all that. So we did it. We cooked up a huge dinner and had games out. We had a wonderful time. Well, about halfway through the night, knock on the door, and some of the guys came in. Some of our college kids came in. Well, they were cross dressers, so they're part of the cross dressing community, and we hugged them and invited them in just like we did all the rest of the kids. So we just showed God's love to them as well as the rest of the kids. And while we were telling the Bible story, they were glued to Chris and you and Toon did the Bible story that night. They probably went for 45 minutes asking questions about God and the Bible. And Toon says that would have never have happened. This is something that has been really different because they don't ask those questions. They just weren't comfortable with anybody else asking because Toon was there as part of the group and part of the Bible story, and we were there and we didn't judge them, and it was great. And in fact, I had one guy afterwards come up and ask me. He goes, "So if I become a Christian, do I have to stop living my lifestyle like this and stop cross-dressing?" And I said, "You know what? That's between you and God." I said, "But God will work on your heart, and you'll want to at some point." So it was really interesting how his mind was already thinking like, my lifestyle is probably not the best, and if I follow God, things are going to change. And I said, "Yeah, they will, but you'll want them to change because you'll want to follow God and follow His commandments." So.
One of the good friends that I still have there in Thailand, her name is Jan, and she actually lived in our building, and she wanted me to help her children with English. And so I was more than happy to because I love that. But she wanted to pay me, and I was like, no, I don't want to be paid. I said, how about if, as payment, you help me learn Thai? And she was like, well, why do you want to learn Thai? And I was like, well, because we live here. And she goes, yeah, but you live in Bangkok. You can get around Bangkok without knowing Thai. A lot of, the word is farang. Yeah, farang is the word they use. Expats is what we use. Live here and never learn Thai. And I was like, but this is your home, and I'm in your home. I should learn to speak your language. You shouldn't have to try to figure out what I'm trying to say. And she could not believe that. She could not believe somebody would think that way. And to this day, every time I'm back there in Bangkok, her and I get together. But it's just when you desire to immerse yourself in someone else's life and actually get to know them, get to know who they are, what makes them tick, why they believe what they believe, how they view things, and actually value it and want to hear it, it opens so many doors. So many doors.
I was out driving one day and I was waiting for a ride. I saw a guy that was sitting at McDonald's, and I just started watching him for a while, and he wasn't being obnoxious to anybody. He wasn't begging for food. And I just felt God saying, you need to go talk to him for a minute and see if he's okay. And so I just went up to him and I just sat next to him and, I said, hey, can I sit next to you for a minute? And he didn't care. So we sat there and I just said, hey, what's your name? Are you homeless or are you doing okay? Are you hungry? And he goes, I am really hungry, but I don't want to ask anybody. Because I don't want to be a panhandler or a beggar. And so I said, well, let's go inside. I'll get you some food. And what's really neat is a customer had just tipped me like $10 for an Uber drive. And so I had $10 on me. I bought the guy a meal. And, it wasn't a super big, supernatural encounter, but it was a God moment where I was supposed to go talk to this guy, buy him a meal, and just say, somebody cares about it. Somebody cares about you. And that was it. And I walked away, and I knew that I had done what God had asked me to do. And I wonder how many other people that have been sitting around and waiting for me to have appointments with them that I didn't know about. That God told me to do something, I didn't do it. It just kind of makes you wonder that sometimes. One misstep that I can think of, not being aware enough. When we were in language school, there was a gentleman there who was with us. He was from England. His name was John, and he and I and Chris, we struck up a friendship with the guy. And obviously he was not a Christian. He lived a very wild lifestyle, I guess you could say. But he was always asking questions about different things. As I look back, I had lots of opportunity with him to go deeper, and I didn't. For whatever reason, I didn't pay attention enough. I was too tired. I just didn't take the opportunity that God had put in front of me to talk with him. While we were there, he married a Thai lady, and they moved away, and they have a daughter now and are doing really well. I just reestablished contact with him again, and just trying to keep tabs on him and see if anything develops there. But being aware and looking for those opportunities that God gives you is huge, because who knows what would have happened if I could have spent more time with John, had gone out with him more, and just speaking to his life. And maybe it wouldn't have been about God, but maybe it'd been about morality, maybe it'd been more about right decisions versus wrong decisions, and truth and consequences, and that type of thing. Who knows where that could have gone? But that was a major misstep for me, is not being there and not being aware enough. You need to be aware and be looking for those opportunities that come in front of you, because they're there all the time. It's just you're just not seeing them.